a very good afternoon to all our viewers and welcome to the afternoon's English News Bulletin. My name is Angie Meher, delighted to be in the company of my dear colleague Lamia Abdulsattar. Good afternoon to you, Lamia.
Good afternoon, Angie. Thank you so much. And dear viewers, we'll start our news bulletin with the headlines. President Sisi receives Commander of Libyan National Army Field Marshal Khalifa Haftar. Minister of Foreign Affairs Badr Abdelati holds joint press conference with his Senegalese counterpart. And Gaza ceasefire to begin Sunday morning after Israeli approval.
Welcome back. And now the details in full. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi reiterated Egypt's full support to the initiatives aimed to achieve peace in Libya and maintain the sovereignty and unity of its people. This came during a meeting with the General Commander of the Libyan National Army Field Marshal Khalifa Haftar in the presence of the Chief of General Intelligence Services Hassan Rashad. President el-Sisi asserted the importance of coordination between all Libyan parties to form a political plan to hold presidential and parliamentary elections in Libya. Sisi also stressed the necessity of preventing any foreign interference and ousting all foreign troops from the Libyan territories. Meanwhile, he praised the national role of the Libyan army in combating terrorism in eastern Libya. For his part, Field Marshal Haftar expressed his appreciation for Egypt's pivotal role to restore stability in Libya and its tireless efforts to support Libyan citizens.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Badr Abdelati said that discussions with his Senegalese counterpart Yassine Fall included enhancing cooperation at all fronts, especially the agricultural sector, and developing new crops to achieve food security for the two countries. In a press conference Saturday, Abdelati stated that Egypt and Senegal have a deep historical relations dating back a decade, pointing out that Egypt was the first country to recognize independence of Senegal. The foreign minister confirmed that there are directives from the Egyptian and Senegalese leaders to work on strengthening bilateral ties. Abdelati also said he tackled with his Senegalese counterpart a number of regional and international files. For her part, Senegalese Minister of African Integration and Foreign Affairs said Egypt is an important strategic partner, highlighting the importance of promoting cooperation with Egypt, especially in the agricultural field. Senegal Foreign Minister Fall voiced aspiration to attract Egyptian investment to Senegal.
An Egyptian source said that the Cairo meeting has ended regarding the implementation of a ceasefire deal in the Gaza Strip amid a positive atmosphere. The source said during the meeting, parties agreed on all procedures, including the formation of a joint operation chamber in Cairo to follow up on the carrying out of procedures. He also pointed that the joint operation chamber will include representatives from Egypt, Palestine, Qatar, the US and Israel to guarantee the active coordination and following up of the abidance to the terms of the deal.
Egypt is preparing to enter the biggest possible amount of humanitarian aid into Gaza Strip after reaching the ceasefire deal. An Egyptian high-level source added that there is a current coordination to open the Palestinian Rafah border crossing to access the international aid to improve the humanitarian conditions in the Gaza Strip.
The Deputy Prime Minister of Health, Khaled Abdul Ghaffar, and Minister of Solidarity, Maya Morsi, inspected hospitals in northern Sinai to follow up on the readiness of these hospitals to receive the injured from the Gaza Strip. The two ministers followed up on the Egyptian Red Crescent's preparations and its logistics stores. They also followed up the work at the North Sinai hospitals and efficiency of medical teams and availability of all medications and medical equipment.
A ceasefire in the Gaza war will begin Sunday morning at 8:30 Gaza local time, mediator Qatar said after Israel's cabinet voted to approve the truce and hostage prisoner release deal. Israel had said no Palestinian prisoners held by Israel would be free before late Sunday afternoon. Egypt, Qatar and the United States had announced it on Wednesday and said it would take effect on Sunday. Following that announcement, Israeli bombardment of the territory killed at least 113 people after Israel's military reported hitting about 50 targets in 24 hours. On Saturday, Palestinians in the southern city of Khan Yunis were mourning 4 members of a family killed in another Israeli strike. Netanyahu's office said the deal supports achieving the objectives of the war. Israel's Justice Ministry said of the deal none before 4 p.m. local time on Sunday.
Meanwhile, 25 Palestinians were killed early morning on Saturday in Israeli occupation army Shalem.
Explosions were heard over Jerusalem after sirens blared across the city and central Israel on Saturday morning, while the Israeli military said a projectile had been launched from Yemen. The explosions and sirens came after Qatar, a key mediator between Israel and Hamas, said that the ceasefire in the war in Gaza would take effect from on Sunday. Sirens and explosions were heard over Jerusalem at around on Saturday, shortly after sirens sounded across central Israel in response to the projectile launched from Yemen, the military said in a statement. Minutes later, the military said it had intercepted the projectile launched from Yemen.
The EU Crisis Management announced a €235 million aid package for Syria and neighbouring countries during the first visit by a senior European Union official since Bashar al-Assad's ouster. The trip comes 2 weeks after foreign ministers from France and Germany visited, calling for a peaceful, inclusive transition amid a flurry of diplomatic activity by countries seeking to re-engage with war-torn Syria's new authorities. EU foreign ministers are expected to discuss proposals to ease some measures at a meeting in Brussels on January the 27th.
Syria's leader Ahmed al-Shara and the President of United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, agreed in a phone call on the importance of continuous coordination to support Syrians. Syrian news agencies said that the two leaders also asserted their commitment to hold joint cooperation in a bid to achieve stability and development in the region.
The United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres said that Israel's military operations and occupation in South Lebanon must cease nearly 2 months after the truce that ended with war with Hezbollah. He was speaking on a visit to the United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon headquarters and referring to the Security Council decision that ended a 2006 war between Israel and the Lebanese group Hezbollah. Under Resolution 1701, only the Lebanese army and UN peacekeepers can be deployed in southern Lebanon. Guterres is visiting Lebanon as the January 26th deadline approaches for full implementation of the November 27th ceasefire between Hezbollah and Israel. Under the ceasefire accord, the Lebanese army has 60 days to deploy alongside UNIFIL in South Lebanon as the Israeli army withdraws.
Hezbollah chief Naim Qassem congratulated Palestinians over the Gaza ceasefire deal, saying in a speech that it proved the persistence of resistance against Israel. He urged not to test the Lebanese people's patience, calling on the Lebanese state to deal firmly with these violations that have exceeded 100. He also said that the coordination between Hezbollah and the Amal movement led to the election of the new president with consensus.
To the Ukrainian file, Russia on Saturday said it had captured 2 more villages in eastern Ukraine, the latest territorial advances in its grinding offensive. Defense Ministry said its forces had liberated the villages of Vremenivka and Petropavlivka, both in the Donetsk region, that Moscow claims to have annexed. Moscow's army said it hit a Ukrainian rocket manufacturer in Kiev in retaliation for missile strikes after Ukraine said 4 people were killed in a Russian attack there. Russian Defense Ministry said its forces carried out a group strike with precision-guided weapons against Ukrainian military industrial facilities, including a site that designs and manufactures long-range rockets in Kiev, calling the strike retaliation for Ukraine's use of the US-supplied missiles.
To the world of business and economy, Minister of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation, Rania Al-Mashat, highlighted the importance of encouraging Japanese companies to invest in Egypt. The minister's remarks came during her meeting with Japanese Ambassador to Egypt, Aiwai Fumio. The meeting addressed the executive plan of the outcomes of Al-Mashat's last visit to Japan in late December, in addition to tackling means of collaboration between Cairo and Tokyo.
The Russian President Vladimir Putin said his country may supply up to 55 billion cubic meters of gas per year to Iran as Moscow diversifies its gas flows after a dramatic fall in exports to Europe. Putin, speaking at a joint press conference with his Iranian counterpart, he said Russia's gas supplies to Iran could eventually reach 55 BCM per year, but would need to start with small volumes of up to 2. Gazprom signed a memorandum last June with the National Iranian Gas Company to supply Russian pipeline gas to Iran. Despite holding the world's second-largest gas reserves after Russia, Iran imports gas, including from Turkmenistan, due to severe underinvestment caused in part by U.S. sanctions.
And to the exciting world of sports, Al-Ahli resumed training ahead of their highly anticipated CAF Champions League showdown with Orlando Pirates on Saturday at 6 p.m. Cairo local time at Cairo International Stadium. The Reds qualified to the quarterfinals after beating Abidjan at the 5th round in Côte d'Ivoire. In press conference held on the eve of the encounter, Al-Ahli Swiss coach Marcel Koller highlighted the difficulty of the match and the heavy load on the players because of consecutive encounters, yet he urged the fans of the Reds to continue with their ultimate support as they are considered the player number 12. For his part, the Reds captain, veteran goalkeeper Mohamed Shinawi described Orlando as a strong team, stating that Al-Ahli seeks to win the match in a bid to occupy the top of the group.
With this final news item, ladies and gentlemen, we wrap up the afternoon's English News Bulletin. You were in the company of myself, Angie Meher, as well as my dear colleague, Lamia Abdel Sattar. Thank you very much, Lamia.
Thank you so much, Angie, and thank you everyone for watching. Stay tuned for more.